So first of all, we want to thank you, but the centenary of profound intellect dignitaries, academics, policymakers, clerics, traditional leaders, researchers, and stakeholders from across the nation and beyond. Their presence here underscores the significance of this moment and reflects the enormous impact of the professor's life and work. As the host institution, we affirm our unwavering commitment to sustaining Professor Nduka's example by advancing the ideas that he has championed, particularly the area of indigenous education and the development of contextually relevant knowledge systems. We recognize that the future of education in our nation lies in our ability to integrate value education with global.
To bring out the communique, and I'd like to recognize Professor Priye Iyala Amadi. She is leading the communique drafting committee. Can we jam our hands together for Professor Priye Iyala Amadi? We also have Professor M.O. Wegu Matthew or Honda Wegu. I have recognized him earlier. Jam your hands together. Please, I think the communique writers, this is your place. And then we have Dr. I.C. Mejim. Please, you're in the house. Can we jam our hands together for?
Because anything that concerns Nduka concerns me. What is Professor Otonti Nduka? What is Professor Otonti Nduka? My mentor. My mentor. And let me challenge my fellow clergyman who says 70 years. That is not what God said. God said in Genesis that he inspired to like teaching. Well, even though it is said that teachers face heaven, but I want to take about 30% here. Let me again welcome all of you to relax and listen to the lecture. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we muster another round of applause for our chair? I am not qualified to conscript him, but he said he was conscripted. Thank you, Daddy, for allowing yourself to serve the public at a time like this. We'll go straight into the academic procession. Are we there? Dr. Agun? Academic procession? No? Okay, thank you. Time is of the essence. So we'll run straight to take a musical interlude. A musical interlude. Do you have Jimmy Conta? Do you have Jimmy Conta there? Eh? Oh, okay. Do you have Jimmy Conta? No Jimmy Conta. I'll give her a correct. Eh? I remember one. My wife who comes up. My wife, now my wife who calls her mo. Don't mind me. Wife didn't cause anything, no. All right, just give us a little music while we set to begin to take the lectures. Once again, welcome to this very cozy environment. And there are two doors. There's a door onto my right and many doors at the end of the hall. But in case you want to go out to answer the call of nature, there's a small door on this side which you can go through and all of that. We believe the Lord is protecting us. No problem. But be guided. Thank you. Yes. Before that comes, I just saw that Professor Emeritus Joyce Akaniwa is in the house. Prof, I hail you. Raise hand well now. You know goldfish has no hiding place. Thank you. Please, let's welcome, while you are still standing, sir, please, while you are
the chairman of the occasion, respected celebrant, his dear wife, permit me to recognize especially Mrs. Sashegwan. Thank you. I remember with respect the contributions of your husband to our profession. May God bless you. Distinguished professors who are here present, ladies and gentlemen, I propose to deliver the keynote address. I have, in view of all the time we have lost, do I still have 30 minutes? MC, do I still have 30 minutes? 20. All right, thank you very much. Yes. I am grateful to the Otonti Nduka Foundation for the privilege of delivering this keynote address. This ceremony is celebrating the centenary of the life of one of Africa's foremost pillars of education. Emeritus Professor Nduka deserves this celebration. He was president of the Nigeria Academy of Education and was honored by the National Universities Commission as a distinguished professor of the century. Professor Nduka is the kind of man that we shall remember and celebrate even long after his life. Generations to come will remember and celebrate this man because in his own lifetime he has spoken not only for this generation, not only for his own generation, but for generations to come. As was said of Abraham Lincoln, so we say of Professor Nduka, he belongs to the age, the way forward for our legal. The little that I can say about this that you do not know already. So my task. Poison of the past, as they say, is the poison of the poison of the executive is the poison of the poison of the legislature is the poison of by legal teacher system of the nation rooted in the kind of education that we are offering. And it is from that source that we encounter the greatest challenge our legal. So, on an occasion like this, when we are celebrating a great educationist like Professor Nduka, it is appropriate to ask ourselves whether, like the prodigal son, we have squandered, twisted away the great heritage bequeathed to us by those who laid the foundation by it, or whether we are following faithfully the path that we have. If we have squandered that heritage, as we appear to have done or are still doing, then our celebration can only be in furtherance of our own aggrandizement. This is patronage. When I look at the great educationists who are gathered here, I have no doubt whatsoever that we are sincere in our tribute to Professor Nduka. That being so, I will address some of the questions to our education in the just expectation that their answers will give us some understanding of the challenges to our legal and judicial system and the way forward. These are the questions. Are we teaching our youth the proper and beneficial use of their hands? Are we? Are we teaching them the proper and beneficial use of their minds as well? Are we offering our youth studies that are of utility to the nation? Is our system of education relevant? Are our universities innovative? Or are we offering our youth a form of education that renders them unfit for the practical duties of life? There is no greater challenge to upholding our values in the legal and judicial field than our failure to offer ourselves and our children the right. We're teaching history. Do we know our history? How shall we uphold our values if we do not know and do not teach our children our own history? How can we have a sense of history if we do not know our own history? Virtually all our institutions of learning, we are studying the history of other nations. What our children know of our history is what the historians of other nations have written about. We are called barbarians by the historians. We are described as uncivilized by the historians of other nations. We are called primitive, branded corrupt. Our own children have come to believe that these are so identical. Challenge our education, give us new and better names, consistent with our heritage. A nation that is not self-reliant will have challenges with its legal. There is no greater challenge of holding our values than dependence on other nations for all our needs, as has been the case. Now, we wear foreign clothes, we speak foreign language, we eat foreign food, we idolize the ancestors of other nations while regarding our own ancestors. I am not an economist. In economics, I am content to be guided by my native intelligence and by that scriptural injunction to seek first the kingdom of God and its righteousness, without which all these other things shall not be added. Our economy must take urgent steps to make the nation self-reliant. For a nation that will not self this world can flood our market with their own goods, even those we can do without or produce ourselves. We are not going to have transparent and dependable legal and judicial systems by enjoying the luxuries that other nations have produced. Our legal and judicial systems will better serve our needs when we make the sacrifice that these other nations have made, produced the luxuries after which we hang. The reason why we are becoming increasingly lawless and our law enforcement machinery and courts are unable to cope is because we are not self-reliant. There is absolutely no difference between the society today and that which the Lord gave the command, saying, "It is by thy sweat that you shall live." If we don't have the right education, how can we enact appropriate law? If we don't make appropriate provisions for our judges and give them the right education and training, how can they understand and interpret the law? If we have no sense of history, if we have no sense of family, if we have no moral, how do we hope to live together in peace and harmony and be law abiding? The laws are not self-enforced. They require good people to enforce them. As Marcus Tullius Cicero said, the nation is founded not only on laws, but also on men. Men, by themselves alone, however great and numerous, do not suffice to make a nation unless they have laws. Laws, on the other hand, by themselves alone, however good and well conceived, do not suffice to make a nation unless they are. The laws of the nation ensure the production of good citizens. Those good citizens, in turn, ensure the maintenance of the law. Laws are not applied because the outstanding men who should apply them are lacking. As Cicero goes on to say, the laws were intended not just to give theoretical satisfaction, but to have practical. Because the machinery of law enforcement is weak, many violations of the law go undetected and unpunished. What deters crime is not the gravity of punishment, it is the probability. And why is that probability low today? Because the courts and the law enforcement agencies are overwhelmed. These agencies, and the judiciary in particular, are founded on the premise that crimes and civil wrongs, if they become unlimited, as is now the case, the law enforcement agents, the judges, cannot. Now, have I done my 20 minutes? Where is the MC? Have I? What time do I have? I have 5 minutes. Yes. Well, even if I talk right, there's nothing that I'm saying that you do not know. You know this yourself. We all know them. But let me comment briefly on the time in which we live. We live in an age when money plays a dominant role in politics. Is that not correct? Wealth has been used and continues to be used to acquire power. After that, acquire more wealth, and with it, corrupt whatever is amenable or susceptible. We have a total misconception of democracy as the right to do as we please without regard. Right? Politics is perceived as a game of deception. The end justifies the means. We proceed on the false assumption that politics without fraud or without fraud cannot produce results. We aim at being strong in numbers without being strong in spirit and in truth. We strive to fight falsehood with falsehood, with the result that in the end, it is falsehood that prevails. These are the challenges to our legal. other arms of government do not respect the limit set to their authority. These two. Nation is divided. Nothing has aided and facilitated the downfall of the nation more than our disunity. Now, this is the last comment I will make. We live in an age when nothing is predictable. We blame it on the economy. We blame it on our politics. We blame it on the social system. Some blame it on the judiciary. I dare say that no economic theory, no political theory, no legal theory are going to save the nation until we admit that we are all implicated in the downfall of the nation. Change our way. Nation cannot remain the enemy of God and hope that either the EFCC or the ICP or the police or the judiciary will solve our problem. We must, like the prodigal son, arise and return to our Father. Marcus Tullius Cicero, one of the greatest minds of all time, himself told how when he lost his daughter, Cicero lost his daughter Tullius, and his friend Atticus invited him to Athens to console him. And while he was in Athens, he said himself that he read all the books that he written on how to overcome misery. After that, he remained unhappy, and he said, "My grief overcomes consolation." Why was he not consoled? He was not consoled because he was looking for a solution from the Greek philosophy. He was not looking up to God. Our country is making the same mistake. We are seeking solutions from the economists, from the legislators, from the politicians, and refusing to return to the Lord. Nigeria must return. If we don't return to God, we're wasting time. Do you agree? The nation must. We have sojourned enough in the prodigal land. Moses warned the Jews, the leaders of the Jews in the wilderness, said, "You have been freed from Egypt, and the road to Egypt is short to you. You are not to go back that way. Whether it is for love of more wives or more horses or more houses, the road to Egypt is short to you." Our leaders need to be told this to correct themselves, to conduct proper elections, do things correctly. Fear. Amen.
I think by the arrangement before me, we are to have a talk from Professor Shehu Saliu Muhammad.
I will try to jump to the main issues. This presentation centers around giving us an idea of what is ethical and moral education, which we know the reason why we need it. We also have to look at the historical roots. Where did we start from when we come to moral and ethical education? Going from the ancient days of the 18th, 19th centuries. And then we'll look at the decline, what has happened so far. Because as we are aware, not just in Nigeria, but globally, there is a decline in moral values because people are leaving those critical issues that make for life. We're now beginning to pursue things that don't really matter. So in the late 20th and then coming to the 21st century, there is growing the emphasis on moral education. This is because there is also the challenge of replacing moral education with religious education. The two are not the same, and we need to appreciate that. And there is also increasing focus on science, technology, and standardized testing. Attention has shifted to science, technology, and testing. And then one should ask a question: where you don't have values, where you don't have ethics, how would you practice science effectively in a society that needs the human face in everything that we do? There is also the concept of globalization and digital media that are introduced conflicting values in our system today because, as you know, the impact of social media, in fact, internet and ICT generally, has also brought some changes in the way we see life. And these are things that are of great concern. There is also the rise of, like I mentioned, the rise of social media, cyberbullying, misinformation, and inappropriate content that will have floating social media space. There is also the issue of character development that is sacrificed for cognitive achievement. Before we know, when once somebody has gone to school, you are awarded certificate, although that is still being mentioned on the basis of character and learning. But now attention is more on cognitive achievement rather than character. And these are the things that have happened so far. What is the Nigerian response to this? And here comes to my major point of focus in this presentation. One, as we know, and interestingly, our celebrant is one of those who participated in the formation of our philosophy of education. Now, the National Policy on Education lays emphasis on holistic development and ethical values. At NRDC, recently we took a holistic review of the national curriculum. And one of the things that we are pursuing in that curriculum review is to see how we can, through that approach, revitalize ethical and moral education for sustainable national development. Now, in terms of embedding moral education in the curriculum, what we did was not to see moral education as a standalone subject, but to have it integrated across all the subjects in science, in mathematics, in humanities, and even in trades. When you see the new curriculum that have come up now and been implemented in schools, you discover that attention is on integration of values and values education across all the subjects. So as the students learn every subject in the school system, they'll have great opportunity to also learn values education through the subjects and the content they encounter in the course of education. Because we discovered that the whole idea of taking moral education as a standalone subject was not helpful. So the best way to approach it is to look at it from the perspective of the different subject areas that the learners are, exposed to in the course of education. So that as they learn their chemistry, as they learn their basic science, as they learn their mathematics, they have opportunity to see how values are integrated, and then they acquire the values in the course of teaching and learning. Not to learn it as a subject, not to learn it as a topic in the lesson, but in the course of doing their learning activities, the learners are exposed to these values in the course of their educational process. Now, what are the pedagogical strategies that we are laying emphasis on? We are talking about value clarification. We are talking about character education. We're also looking about moral dilemma discussions and reflective practices. There is also the aspect that has to do service learning and civic engagement. There are also issues that have to do with collaborative and technology enhanced learning. We're also looking at storytelling, role playing, and entrepreneurial engagement. Then developing digital ethics and responsible online behavior. And one good thing that we did is also have a new subject which we call the citizenship and national heritage. Because we consider the fact that whereas we are living in a world where ICT is playing a great role, we need to start preserving our heritage, we need to start preserving our values, we need to start preserving our culture. Because, through this process, we're able to reintegrate the learners into our own societal values that will help them to live effective life. Now, what are the challenges? I know the time is up. What are the challenges? There is the issue of inadequate teacher preparation in terms of value-based education. We have the disconnection between society and school. While we are pursuing creating opportunity for the learners to acquire values education, when they come out in the society, they see a different thing. So there is a confusion, and the learners are wondering, are we being taught just to pass exam through this approach? Or are we being taught to live in a society where the opposite is the issue? So these are the issues, these are the challenges, and what are the recommendations? One, we need to start training teachers. We need to also start collaborating with the parents, religious organizations, traditional rulers, and community leaders. We also need to start engaging communities in civic reorientation and reform of social norms. So these are the suggested recommendations that we have proposed here. And I think when you have the full paper, you will appreciate more the essence of this paper. Thank you very much for listening.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. O'Day. Ladies and gentlemen, this conference is organized for an erudite scholar, a man of no mean repute, someone whom God has blessed. I don't want to go into the discussion with my chairman, whether it's 70, whether it's 100 or 120, whatever it is. I know you are blessed with longevity. And so we are celebrating a man for whom grace is speaking for. And today, we'll go on. Permit me, Mr. Chairman, to recognize quickly Professor Paulinus Chijoke Okwele, former Executive Secretary, NCCE. He's here in this house. Thank you very much. He's here in this house. Thank you very much. We'd like also to recognize Professor Daniel Matthias. Please jam your hands together for Professor Daniel Matthias. A few announcements. Daniel Matthias. A few announcements. Ensure your names are on the register. Please, if you entered here without putting down your name on our register outside, please just ease yourself out a little. Put down your name. Then there shall be certificate of participation. Hospital, Professor Aaron Ojule. My brother, you're welcome. Thank you very much, Professor Ojule. All right. Are you giving me more? Time now. Okay. Professor A.A. Munyozu, KSJI, Ochonhai Query, the 13th is in the house. Can we recognize our dad? The Ochonhas are in front, sir. Daddy, they are in front. Please, ushers, do well to bring my... let's also recognize Professor V.A. Asuru, FNAE, is in the house. Professor V.A. Asuru already had mentioned Ojule because I know him and then I saw him there. All right, we'll move straight on. Any more names? Eze Professor Chris Akani, BOT member of ONF. Prof. Mecca. Welcome, sir. I remember those days in school, you guys were pushing us theories and from social sciences. It's okay. All right, Mr. Chairman, with your kind permission, we'll move on to the next lecture. This time we're going to look at the roles of traditional family, religious, political, and commercial institutions in the advancement of ethical values in Nigeria. This topic is loaded. Unfortunately, we don't have all the time to allow our father to speak. But it is it's my pleasure to read a brief citation on the Venerable Dr. Finefest Ndubuisi Aka JPD SSRS. That if you stand there, if you stand at your chair for a while, sir. All right. Okay, on this side. Thank you. Dr. Finefest Ndubuisi Aka JP, the SSRS, a prominent Nigerian Anglican clergyman and educator. best known for his role as the former chairman of the Rivers State Universal Basic Education Board, RSU PEP. He served as the executive chairman of RSU BAB, overseeing UBE education in Rivers State, Nigeria, and concluded his tenure on the 28th of June 2024. He was appointed to the position by former Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike, the man for whom this auditorium is named. During his tenure, he was involved in promoting quality education, including commissioning community schools projects. For example, Rumomoy Community Secondary School, and working with the state government on classroom construction. His valedictory service took place on the 28th of June 2024 at the Ecumenical Center in Port Harcourt, celebrating the successes of his administration with the board. He has been recognized with the Justice of the Peace and the Distinguished Service Star of
Family, traditional, religious, commercial, and political institutions are expected to advance values in our society. The concern at this conference has to do with our understanding and participation in religious life expressions and all the other facets of human faculties as consisting in the importance we attach to our cultural foundations. And so we are using the cultural models or prisms in this very brief presentation. And that's the major concern of ethnography. It is, of course, concerned with the diligent analysis of how people have applied themselves to the dictates of their environment. But we come from different environments. So when we speak of environment, what should come up readily is the family system, which to my mind, of course, should be considered as the very primal social structure that humanity came to know, the family. Does the family have a role to play in the advancement of norms, of values, of ethical standards? The families from where we have come, the families we knew yesterday, the families of today, fulfilling those expectations. Those are part of the critical questions that one has to be confronted with when you are given the task of saying that, yes, family has a role in the advancement of ethical standards and norms and values. Values to humans are the things that we consider important, community and life enhancing, things that pay up well, make for cohesion, peace, and development. So it is something to which we are all indebted. And it is that which makes a happier community. The family is the first and earliest social institution for value formation. Character formation begins at the family level. And of course, both the national policy of education and all other sources of cultural education try to give to us to understand how that the family is the center of value formation. It is the family. Some advanced countries have made their marks today in their educational system because of the realization that the family has a role to play in character formation. Nations like Finland, for instance, never allow children out of home until they are age 7. And the reason is that they want children to be formed at home. So it is the primary center of
exposing children. And here the emphasis is on children. Parents have the first place in forming character in children. No parent, including ourselves and those who formed us, permits children to fight at home. Qualities or virtues of consideration and tolerance are taught at home. I remember my aged grandmother who will assemble us and say to us at family level in our formative years as children that we are all different in our character composition. And that the best way we can achieve peace and harmony at home is when we live together in the understanding that we are different people. In other words, Mr. A in the family behaves differently. Mr. B also behaves differently. So we have the commonality in our surnames, but we are different. And the way we can work together as a family is that we must understand these differences and keep for everyone that pattern of life that is peculiar to him or to her. That was a way of teaching tolerance, understanding that breeds acceptance and favorable behavior at home level. It is a way of teaching cooperation. It is not that should be taught at the what they call primary school or secondary school or the tertiary institution level. It is there at the family that we create the ethical standards that can give or allow others to have their own space. So, can we therefore separate the difficulties we have in our nation today in terms of our inability to understand that others have different foundations and backgrounds, our inability to cooperate with one another and live in harmony as one society, our tantrums for separation and discrimination, which are very negative virtues from the failure of families teaching their children cooperation and tolerance. Family is key to character formation. I have thought lately that individuals who do not have the quality or ability to bring up children the way they ought to go according to the Christian scriptures very early in life shouldn't even think of getting married, so that no such person brings any child into the world in the way our society has done today. Families, of course, are the earliest foundations for the larger society. When two families come together, they begin to form a larger community. And so beyond the family, there is also the traditional institution. Culturality is of essence because peculiar people have peculiar ways of life, way of thinking. Temperaments differ from individual to individual, and individual temperaments are usually also informed critically by the culture of their families. So how well and how far has our traditional institutions presided over today by our traditional rulers in the position of chiefs and elders? The primordial societies actually in this part of the world never knew the institution of chieftaincy. Reference was basically made to elders. Elders kept the traditional institution. The elders interpreted the signs of the day. The elders taught the people the reason for locations and settlements. The elders taught communities their history and where they came from. Elders taught culture relating to marriages and how that should be driven and made a practical reality for further enhancement of society. The institution presided over by elders do not want to place emphasis on chiefs today, even though there is a negative usurpation of the powers and the roles of elders as vanguards of traditional institutions, they by chiefs in our communities. But it is important for us to think through ethical issues from the prisms of the role of elders, the Ojohors, the Epandai in the communities, in our society. They teach us that
disagreement or any form of foreign incursion that tries to destabilize the people, elders step in. I close my eyes, and in my mind's eye, I can see the eldest men in my community in the period before and soon after the war, with their towels around their necks, and some of them with their spectacles across their faces, moving naked with wrapper around their waist, gathering to resolve issues of conflict, issues of disagreement, issues that bred enmity and brought society down. They talked together, they agreed, they resolved those things, they made peace. Elders, therefore, are agents. Traditional institutions, therefore, makes for justice. Then there are other institutions. There is also the religious institution. By reason of call, we serve in the church. We are religious officials. The church came into this path as a Christian institution to continue the task of the native religious institution, moral character formation. The essence is moral character formation. That is simply the main thrust of religious institution. That's the job. Form character, form morality. And that can be achieved through the inculcation of a sense of cordial relationship driven, of course, by reverence, not fear, concerning the existence of a transcendent reality that makes us contingent persons. Because there is a transcendent superior reality, God. And because there is God, we are contingent persons. That alone inculcates a sense of reference that should breed. Is a society keeps growing as a complex whole. Traditional institutions will also know that there are boundaries that should not, of course, be taken for granted. And at the same time, religious bodies shouldn't just be a place where everybody comes to do whatever thing he wants to do. The emphasis is that at the end of the day, we should have solid quality citizenship. And these citizens operating within the frame of properly articulated laws and policies will be able to fulfill their citizenship roles in the society. That way, our society will be a better place to live in. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. So much has been said. The organizers said if we got our names registered with our emails, we're likely to have some of these papers sent our email addresses, and then we will have the fuller picture of what is being said. Before we go to the next lecture, I'd like to recognize Professor Chris Akani, former provost at College of Health Sciences, University of Port Harcourt. Welcome, sir. He just said something about gray hair, and I looked at your direction and I said the gray hair is working, sir. We have Professor Eric Amadi in the house. Please, can we jam our hands together for Professor Eric Amadi? We also have Professor Pastor Matthias Daniel. Please jam your hands together for Professor Pastor Matthias Daniel. This conference, ladies and gentlemen, is on legal and judicial systems in Nigeria, challenges in upholding values and way forward. And is organized for a man whom God has been so good, 100 years. I've been asked not to talk so much by the chairman, so I'll curtail it. In some communities, when the people die, you hear 135 years, 120. This will not be exaggerated. He is 100 years, and we say to God be the glory. Amen. All right. The chairman has directed me that I must cut short whatever citation I'm reading. But we know that women usually rock the cradle. Maybe that's why in my area of studies we talk about mother tongue. And the mother tongue may have been transmitted from the mother to the children. And so we're going to have Professor Hawa Imam to speak to us on the role of women in the inclusion of values. Ma barin karanta wannan kaɗan kafin ki zo, please. Well, ladies and gentlemen, while you're coming, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to say that Professor Hawa Imam holds a chair in educational administration since 2011 at the University of Abuja. She was the director Institute of Education at the University of Abuja from 2022 to 2025. She previously held multiple senior administrative roles, including Dean Faculty of Education. If I didn't read it, how would I have known that you were Dean of the Faculty of Education, Madam? All right, ladies and gentlemen, a mother of no mean repute, an academic guru juggernaut of a sort. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Professor Hawa Imam to give us a lecture.
Thank you, our distinguished father and one-time president of the NAE. Today I stand proudly before you as a member of NAE and national vice president of NAE. And my encounter with him so many years ago, when I presented a paper, I was wondering, who is this man on whose account I was invited to Sheraton? That was my first time of physically meeting him. I did not know he has been reading my works, and he knows who I was from my writings. But it prompted me to join the NAE. Today I'm proudly member of the Nigerian Academy of Education. So I would like to say, Mrs. Nduka Otonti, today is your special day. God has blessed you both with long life to see his 100th birthday. This is a very rare occurrence in history. I am so emotional and I'm so happy, I'm so proud to be standing before all of you here. This place is full of my distinguished professors, distinguished eminences, and most importantly, I can see some PhD students from uni in here, in addition to my colleagues in the academia and the distinguished guests who are all here. Please pardon me if I stand on the existing protocol without calling each person one after the other. Today, as I said, is a very emotional day for me. I have crafted a 1-hour paper. So while sitting down there, I reduced this paper to 20 minutes. The full paper is with them. This is what I find very valuable. I was twice president of the Nigerian Association of Education Administration and Management and Planning, which is now a seat now being occupied by a reverse man. And I'm the president of the Commonwealth Council for Education Administration and Management, which has 53 countries in its membership. And I'm the first Nigerian, the first West African to be this president there. I mean, so I'll just go straight to this paper now. You can be showing my paper. When you get to the figure 1, you leave it on. Societies are sustained not only by formal political structures and economic systems, but also by shared moral values that regulate behavior, promote social trust, and enable communal living. In Nigeria, it has been a rising concern of most people, both within and outside the country, of the decline in moral values in Nigeria, which is manifested as corruption, youth deviance, weakening communal norms, rising social distrust, and the kind of insecurity which is unprecedented in the history of our nation. The National Policy on Education explicitly assigns education the function of molding citizens who display moral and civic responsibility, thereby positioning schools, families, and communities as key arenas for the transmission of values. But what do we have today in Nigeria? There are certain parts of the country where children drop out of school, or who attend school that runs parallel to the national educational system. There has been the core values, and start from the home where the mother is. Because if mothers do their jobs well, the schools will only build on what the children take to school. But when a child is zero from home, gets zero school, then you get the kind of youth deviance we have today in our society. So in the broad socialization ecology, women occupy community positions in the community. Because of this, their proximate role as our mothers, caregivers, teachers, mentors, and also faith leaders. You find women. These roles place women at the center of children's early social learning, as well as in the heart of cultural continuity and civic reproduction. And that is why this paper presented at the Centenary Conference in honor of Professor Otonti Nduka revisits education as a moral formation and examines women's contributions to value inculcation across the school, the family, religious, and community settings. I have advanced 3 linked objectives in my paper to clarify the concept of values, value inculcation, and women as moral agents. And 2, to explain through a social learning lens how women function as influential models in the formation and stabilization of values. And 3, to drive policy and educational implication consistent with national educational goals and global commitments, including SDG 4, which has to do with quality education, SDG 5, gender equality, and SDG 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. And peace, justice, and strong institutions, you can only have this built when you have quality education. And education that reach every nook and cranny, every grassroots level. Basic education is supposed to be free, but how basic and how free is basic education in this country? I will not go into the details of that. So values inculcation, I conceptualize it based on the works of eminent scholars has both deliberate and implicit transmission occurring through instruction, observation, imitation, reinforcement, and daily interaction with the family first, the school, the religious institutions, and then the wider community. In the days of old, a child in the community belongs to everyone. Today, you dare not correct anybody's child, even if you see them as doing, exhibiting deviant behavior. So the woman is framed as a social and moral agent whose caregiving and teaching responsibilities create repeated, cultural, meaningful opportunities for modeling integrity, empathy, respect, responsibility, self-restraint, and communal solidarity. I base my paper on the theoretical framework of social learning and moral formation, and my analysis is grounded in Bandura's social learning theory, Bandura 1977, which explains how individuals acquire behaviors, attitudes, and values through observation and imitation. Yeah, thank you very much. The first place is the home. These are the various social contexts. The family, the school, the community, religious setting, and peer groups. These are the people that provide everyday environment where values are observed and learned. And then attention. Children attend to behaviors the key models. Who are the first models? It's the mother. That's the number one model. The mother, the female caregivers, the teachers, the mentors, community, and faith leaders. These come after the mother. Then attention. Children attend to behavior displayed by salient models. You know, if you are a bad mother who is all out partying, you don't have time for your children, it is your behavior those children are going to build their moral values on. So it depends on if you buy things on credit a lot, there are always debtors come into your house. Children are going to build it on you, on your behavior. So what this policy is saying is that children retain behavior they associate with certain meanings. They reproduce. That is, the learner practices and performs the behavior. And then the motivation. The learner sustains behavior when it attracts reinforcement, approval, or belonging, and abandons it if it is. Women frequently serve as the most consistent and proximate people that are close to the children and the youth, thereby decreasing the likelihood that their behavior is attended to, retained through repetition, reproduce in routine interaction, and stabilize through feedback and reinforcement. So what I have done in this paper is to align this social learning lens with Nduka's insistence that education must be grounded in moral philosophy and cultural context. As late as 2026, he was writing, this alignment clarifies that value transmission is simultaneously behavioral and interpretive, and that durable moral formulation requires both modeling and cultural coherent value content. So let's look at approach and core argument here. You know, my paper was quite analytical and integrative, drawing on this theory. But then let's look at the African indigenous educational perspective from selected leadership. I may not go into much about this, but I'll just speak one or two sentences. The argument is that because values are learned through repeated exposure and reinforcement, and women sustain proximity to their children, so mothers therefore contribute not only to private family morality, but to public civic life by shaping the character and social responsibility of future citizens. This is the African perspective, and it's grounded in long-term, you know, when you keep on associating something that has been becoming good over and over again, we may not be writing this into policy, but these are continuous occurrences in our community. So, and where women, by the time you look at poverty, economic hardship, gender inequality, insecurity, or disruptive media influences, value transmission weakens with downstream consequences of social trust, peaceful coexistence, and institutional legitimacy. You know, for instance, here I am before you today. I am Fulani. You know, so when you say all Fulanis are this or that, you know you are not being factual. That is because of media influences. I think we are all the same in a way. It depends on the kind of socialization you got, the kind of education, the kind of exposure that decides who you are. Not the ethnic group you come from or the religion you belong to. And your religion should be for you. If you can influence society through your behavior, you don't have any business preaching to anybody. That is how I see religion. And one of the key arguments is family socialization and cultural continuity. We've already identified the family as a primary site for early values formulation, children learn respect, empathy, responsibility, and self-control initiated through lived-in experiences in their own homes, the routines of their families, the discipline practices, communication patterns, and observed responses to conflict, hardship, and cooperation. Mothers often deliver direct moral guidance, while simultaneously teaching implicitly through example how they speak, how they resolve issues, how they resolve disputes, keep promises, manage resources, relate with neighbors, and show compassion. Because children's attention is naturally drawn to their mothers, whom they are emotionally close, so the woman's conduct becomes an especially salient template for imitation and internalization. Number 2, women are emphasized as custodian and culture when you look at the African lens. That is within our African Indigenous Educational Institution, where moral instruction is embedded in proverbs, folk tales, songs, ceremonies, and communal practice. I recall my first folk tales were told to me by my grandmother under the moonlight. I think I will just share this if you don't mind. She spoke about a beautiful girl who was so greedy that she decided to go away with an eagle because he has money. A fine man came to the village and she decided to go with him. A fine man, he was not ignoring her, buying things. She saw the way he was spending. Then she decided she likes him. She wants to marry. Say, oh, fine girl, you want to marry me? She was the most beautiful girl in the village. Everybody wanted to marry her. But she turned everybody down at every junction. And then this time, she met an eagle who has turned into a man, and she decided that's the one she wants to marry because he was spending a lot of money. Against all wise counsel, she followed the eagle. On the way, he turned into an eagle and took her on his back and flew far into the forest, to the middle of the forest on a very high tree. And every day, she was enjoying sweet things initially, so she was oblivious. But later on, he will go away for longer, but she suddenly realized she was living with an eagle. Every day, she will come out and cry. She will come out and sing. I don't want to sing that song, it will waste our time. And then some hunters from her village were sent to go and look for her and bring her back home. When they realized that that man is not a real human being. He's from another world, not the world of human beings, from a spirit world. So they went in search of this girl. And finally, they decided, they sent the birds of the air. The birds went and started singing that her grandfather, grandmother, and parents are dead. She should come home. So when she heard them crying, she then told the bird, I want to go home to see my family. So this huge bird carried her on his back and landed in her village. He did not know it was a ploy by the community to lure her back into human existence. So nobody was dead in her family. As soon as the eagle landed, they came up with mortars, with their pistols, with their big sticks, and beat the hell out of him. And he flew away with a broken wing. And what they said is that greedy people. That was the moral in that school. She was greedy. That she was ready to marry somebody she didn't even know. She went away with an eagle. How can a human being live with an eagle? So the moral of the story is young girls should not be greedy. People should not be greedy in general. So now let's look at the women argument, the key arguments in women in school moral education and girls education. Women's contribution in formal education. We are teachers. A lot of us are here. We are teachers. We work in offices. We are students. We are mentors. And this is consistent with the national policies of education, citizen forming mandate. Teachers are not only transmitters of knowledge and skill, they are moral agents. And our professional practices shapes learners' attitudes, dispositions, and civic habits. And what the evidence showed from the broader literature is that female teachers can positively shape long-term well-being and aspiration of female learners, reinforcing social value of women's presence in educational systems. And then the fourth, family counseling, organized charity, caregiver networks, and welfare communities. And you see, through this kind of activities, what do? We operationalize values by showing compassion, service, restraint, reconciliation, so that learners can observe and reproduce them in their everyday life. And in the sixth one, let's look at women's participation in community association, like the market women groups, cooperative women association, mothers union, neighborhood support network, etc., etc. Okay? This reinforces values at the grassroots, as those groups organize mutual aid, maintain social norms. Somebody's coming to get me away. I'm almost done. So, let's look at the contemporary constraints on women's value inculcation rules. Women's capacity to serve as consistent value models is increasingly constrained by intersecting pressures such as economic hardship, livelihood insecurity, intensifying women's work burden, producing time poverty that reduces supervision, mentoring, and participation in school and community structures that influences, that reinforces values. A lot of mothers are engaged in petty trading, very busy. They don't even have time to look at some of these children when they come back from school. As time to time thing when you want to talk. It should be part and parcel. It should be treated as a measurable priority in curriculum delivery, teacher preparation, school leadership, supervision and accountability, rather than the rhetoric we are all used to. And then 2, strengthening girls' education as a moral and civic investment. 3, integrating civic education and community values renewal. And 4, linking value formulation to peace and strong institutions. This is very important. Integrity, fairness, responsibility, and respect for rights. Support institutional legitimacy and non-violent public life. Value renewal should therefore be framed as preventive investment in SDG 16 outcomes. There's no need shouting SDG. Supporting women's social and economic capacity. Whatever you do in this country, if you don't take the needs of the women as central in policy decision making and implementation, you say people are producing almajiri, people are producing ebesu youths, people are producing militants, people are producing kidnappers and what have you. If you don't take the interest of the women, don't forget these women keep on producing these children. They are producing them. It's a vicious cycle. So you have to arrest the foundation where these children emanate from. That's the mothers. You must work on the mothers. So let's conclude now. Thank you so much. Conclusion, and we now link this to our big masquerade's legacy. I wish I wrote today. In honor of Emeritus Professor Otonti Nduka's enduring contribution to values education, my paper reaffirms education has human formation, developing intellect alongside moral duty and social conscience. Women, by virtue of their proximate and multi-sided roles in the home, in the faith-based institutions, communities. So what we are saying, the women are the indispensable drivers of values inculcation. Through social learning processes of modeling and reinforcement, they can shape children's moral habits and civic responsibilities with consequences that extend social cohesion, national integrity, and institutional strength. Renewing values in Nigeria is there whose contribution continues to illuminate the moral purpose of education. Please, if you are still sitting, rise to your feet. This is worth it. Let's give him a resounding. I want us to sing a song for him for this special day. I don't know who has a good voice. I have a very bad voice. Who knows this song? For he's a jolly good fellow. Somebody, fellow. I want somebody, a very good fellow. Say all of us, hooray! For he'll say all of us, hooray! For he's a jolly good fellow. He's a jolly good fellow. He's a jolly good fellow. And so say all of us. Well, I like to sing. I went to a Catholic school, so I learned to sing there. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished, you may resume your seats, please. Thank you so much. Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. I wanted to stop her, and I got to know that she's the president of the association that our father belonged to. And so, as a president, president too, anyhow you look and so I couldn't do anything. President, we have prayed for you already. That's how we're going to do. Mr. Chairman, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, while this was going on, we have the former Vice Chancellor of the Rivers State University coming to the house. He is Professor Nlerum S. Okobule Esquire. Please put your hands together for our former VC. VC, sir, remember that they will play ball. Senate Uniport and Senate RSU. And then anytime ball reach your leg, they know they let us near you. Ladies and gentlemen, one of our speakers for this conference is in the house. I'd like to introduce and to invite to the head table Amaupu Senibo Dr. Honorable Dakuku Adol Peterside, former Director General of NIMASA. Please, just make your way to the head table. Welcome, Doc. A former governorship aspirant. Make we add that one too, because I'm told that you can deny a politician everything, but don't deny him publicity. Well done, sir. Please, there's a seat here near the chairman for you. Thank you. God bless you, sir. We will invite Professor Priye Yalamadi with the kind permission of the chairman and organizers. We've been skipping the musical interlude because we don't have time. But she says she has a poem for the celebrant. And so it's my pleasure to invite to the lectern a professor of no mean repute, another lady on the block, Professor Priye Iyala Amadi. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Happy birthday, sir, and welcome. It is you. Today is your day. We are all gathered because of you. And so the title of my poem is Phenomenal, Astute, Astounding, Phenomenal, Uncommon, Unusual, Phenomenal, Amazing, Remarkable, Phenomenal, a philosophical titan, an intellectual juggernaut, a Socratic interlocutor, a dominant colossus, named Walika by his father, the tough, the smart, the wise, the cunning one, the autumn in his mother's box, the treasure without tarnish, phenomenal in his theories, phenomenal in his postulations, phenomenal in his adjudications, just phenomenal. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Professor Priye Yalamadi, phenomenal indeed, is our celebrant, and we are glad to have you in the house. I talk with the chairman, please. Priye, sorry, Professor Yalamadi, the chairman said you should monetize those phenomenal things, not in naira but in dollars. You know, recently some people were empowered with $1 note in one state in Nigeria. $1. You give them one. The people who analyze the test now for $1, $1. If they go change, you know, go even reach 1,200 for $1. Anyway, that's by the way. Ladies and gentlemen, we are celebrating a man whom God has shown grace. We are celebrating a man for whom we know has lived for 100 years. It not be beans. It not be beans. And yeah, someone might tell me I know someone who is 100, but that 100 they for bed, they sleep somewhere. This 100 is walking on his feet. That's the grace of God. Can we appreciate the Lord for his mercies and generosity to our Father? Thank you very much, sir. It's not of him that willeth or him that runneth, it's of the Lord that showeth mercy. And the Lord has shown you mercy, and we are tapping in. I want to tap. I'm just above 60, and I want to get there someday. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll continue with this conference as we invite someone else. We've looked at family. We have looked at womanhood and all of that. And someone told me that the seed of indiscipline is sown at home, watered in school, and harvested in the society. I don't know who said it, but I've been saying it. I thought I had a bit of it from our national president. Oh, Presido Angaisheki Sanenke Berkengirezua. All right, to talk to us on professional ethics, we'd like to invite Honorable Dr. Amaupu Senibo Dakuku Adol.
Celebrant. And in acknowledging our celebrant and the wife, good pastor or is a bad pastor. And somebody threw up the name of Pastor Enoch Adejere Adeboye. The young man stood up, and by extension, happy birthday, ma. Very distinguished persons in our midst. Chairman of the occasion, professors, emeritus, current professors, former vice chancellors, present vice chancellors. I've seen some of my teachers here, many of them, several of them, including Elder Efebo, who is here to honor our father, and Emeritus Professor Wala, who is also here. And indeed, I've seen a lot of professors. I am conscious of the fact that I have 15 minutes, rather 10 minutes. All right, so I've been asked to speak on a very simple subject, something that we all understand. I had prepared my lecture to speak for 30 minutes, but if I'm asked to speak for a few minutes. And so I was asked to speak on professional ethics in Nigeria, a values crisis across all sectors. Professional ethics in Nigeria. I won't read the text. I will simply remind us of something that happened in 2009. The nation's financial backbone snapped in 2009. The then central bank governor, who is now the emir of Kano, Sanusi Lamido Saniso, fired 5 CEOs. The CEO of Intercontinental Bank, Fin Bank, Oceanic Bank, I'm sure you remember Oceanic Bank, Union Bank, and indeed what was called then Fame Bank. I'm sure you remember that story. What happened? They had given out loans worth 747 billion. These loans didn't get board approval. This loan passed through auditors. This loan, they generated books, cooked up the bank books. And when it was investigated, they found out that these loans ended in shell companies established by these MDs. And so it was not just about the economic or financial backbone of the country that snapped. What happened was that there was a crisis of moral integrity and, by extension, professional ethics. Good. The temptation is for us to think that when we talk about professional ethics, we are talking about corporate boardrooms. We are talking about financial institutions. In our minds, when we talk about professional ethics, the temptation is to think about financial compromise. I don't think that's very correct. Research findings, and I argue, shows that in literally every profession in the country, we have challenges with ethics. And it's not like the professions don't have codes. Whether in medicine, there are professional standards. In law, in accounting, in architecture, in education, there are some ethical standards. So what is the challenge? In medicine, I'm sure you know that the rate of misdiagnosis is enormous. And we can dismiss wave of hand and say it's a question of lack of competence or character. Hold on, you may be in a hurry. Every day we hear about buildings collapse in Lagos, in Abuja, in Port Harcourt. Those buildings, the plan was approved by somebody, certified by an engineer, structural engineer, mechanical and electrical engineer, civil engineer. They were constructed by professionals. What went wrong? What of teachers? The case of teachers, in course of this conversation, we will delve into the case of teachers. The reason why we will delve into the case of teachers is twofold. The first is that our honorary Emeritus Professor Otonti Nduka is himself the beacon of education. The second is the multiplier effect of what we do as educationists or teachers. When teachers fail in their professional responsibility, they are simply putting the building blocks for society to fail. When teachers succeed in their professional responsibility, one of which is the ethical block, teachers are building society. Whereas we are challenged, professionally speaking, in all professions, there is a reason and justification to zero in on the teaching profession, where our celebrant is a hero. And so I'll leave you with simply 4 core ideas. I'm sure that my original paper can be shared. And what are those 4 core ideas? The first one is simple. It is the fact, the very fact, and I didn't say I suggest. The reason is that it's been put under test severally, and we can confirm that in the country today, and it may not just be in Nigeria alone, there is the pervasiveness of professional ethics challenges. We grapple with systemic value crisis. Mind you, Professor Otonti Nduka, post university life, has devoted his entire being to the pursuit of values education. And this issue of systemic value crisis is not restricted to any profession alone. Medicine, law, engineering, education is not. It is across board, including the emerging artificial intelligence. It might get worse if we do nothing about it. And I don't think we've done sufficiently well to address the issue of values crisis. And so the 2009 scandal, banking scandal, simply exemplifies the degree and the depth of the challenge or ethical void we face at every level, whether at the board level, that's at the strategic level, at the operational level, at the everyday level, whether in our homes, whether in our professions. For me, that's the most important thing, that we face a values crisis in the country today. If there's anything we're going to take away, it is the fact that we face a values crisis of alarming dimension. And it's so normalized that we now think it is usual. So a policeman stops you on the road, pulls you, you're willing to offer money. You don't see anything wrong with it. As you approach a court, you're not looking for justice. You too, you're looking for a way to compromise the court. Both judges and lawyers, everybody is looking for a loophole to take advantage of our legal system, not for justice. As for teachers, I think their case is worse because of the systemic multiplier implication of their actions. And I'll tell you a quick story. My mother runs a school, owns a school in this town. It's called Royal Court Private School. She told me a story recently. The receptionist in her school got pregnant and she would ordinarily go for maternity leave. They put out application, they put out call for application. Over 100 persons applied, all 100 graduates, or at least they carry certificates. They screened them, shortlisted 10. When they shortlisted 10, invited these 10 for interview. And out of these 10, what I was told is that they all carry certificates, some second class upper, some second class lower, some whatever, what have you. And that they can hardly speak and read English. They talk more we should take away when we are called a graduate. The act of critical thinking. They can hardly read and write, but they carry certificates. How were they certified? They passed through some training, passed through primary school, secondary school, university, and a degree. But they can't read and write, talk more critical thinking. They can't even reason, which is the most basic of literacy, the capacity to reason. These guys were trained by teachers, certified by process authorities, but they can hardly read and write. That is the degree and depth of our value crisis. So that's the first core, my first core argument, or my first core thesis this morning. The second is that the root causes of this crisis is beyond individual fault. It is very simplistic, lazy to say, listen, that the ethical decay rather, arises from character issues. No, it is more than that. For me, that's the second takeaway. It is beyond bad character developed in our various homes or built up in our various homes. There's a structural dimension to it. You hire a policeman or you employ a policeman, you pay him 150,000. A bag of rice is about maybe 100,000. And you expect the policeman to conduct himself in an ethical manner. He's buying in the same market with the rest of us. You employ somebody as a teacher, first degree, level 8. You pay him maybe 100,000. 100,000 multiplied by 12 is 1.2 million. Meanwhile, his rent, the cheapest rent he can get for a decent 2-bedroom flat in Port Harcourt is about 2 million naira. You expect that he will respect ethical standards, he will conduct himself well, he will be a man of character. So there are structural dimensions. So when we say that we face a values crisis, I want us to look at it from 3 critical perspectives. One is economic vulnerability. The second is institutional weakness. And I will come back to the issue of institutional weakness. Every professional has his own code of ethics, whether in teaching profession, whether in architecture, medicine, engineering, they all have ethics. Today, and I have my own personal experience, I have a young rabbi who passed. At the time, I was younger. Today, perhaps I would have challenged it. He underwent surgery, and it was simply an error of judgment by the medical doctor who performed the surgery. He passed. And this was in the year 2009. He passed. Of course, much later, I found out when he was subjected to scrutiny, we found out that the error or the mistake was that of the medical doctor. What happened? We didn't challenge it in court. We didn't even challenge it before the professional board, the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria. We accepted it. Even if we had challenged it, you know that one way or the other, they will exonerate him. And so, when he talk about enforcement of professional codes, professional ethics, there is a clear institutional weakness in terms of enforcement of professional codes. And so, even a teacher, when a teacher makes sexual overtures to a young girl, and please don't get me wrong, it's peculiar to young girls alone. A female teacher can also make overtures to a young boy. And in these days of gay and lesbianism, anything can happen. The moment it's reported to the school authorities, they will find a way and cover one of their own. I still recall, many years ago, a university teacher who himself was randy, and some friend of his kept his daughter, under his custody. This happened in this town, in a university in this town. I remember that vividly. And this university teacher, a professor, as he then was still a medical professor now, another professor started making overtures to the girl, and the girl came and confided in him. They set the professor up in some hotel in D-Line, invited the professor. The girl said to the professor, walked up to the professor, and said to the professor, well, if you want to sleep with me, it has to be in this particular hotel. They put cameras in the hotel, invited the professor, of course, stripped the professor naked, police swapped on, got the professor naked, took the camera and everything, arrested the professor and all of that. How did I get involved? Because the professor approached me much later to plead on his behalf. Now, the professor the girl was residing with petitioned Senate and the vice chancellor, the then vice chancellor. As they were going through the case, I had stepped in at the time. The then vice chancellor called me and said, listen, we found out that this person did this thing, but please, for this reason, can we just let this, that the professor will not do it again? A vice chancellor telling me this, presiding over Senate. And of course, you can predict the end. No disciplinary action was taken against the professor, even when his fellow professor was fully chasing the matter. And so when we talk about enforcement of ethical codes, we either outsource it to God Almighty, that God should come and enforce laws for which we made for ourselves, or ethical standards for which we set ourselves, or we abdicate responsibility. And we still blame society, when we all in little ways contribute to the breakdown of our values. I've talked about 3 things, and at the risk of repetition and for emphasis sake, the first one, I said that the root of the values crisis is threefold. The first one is our economic vulnerabilities. The second one is lack of capacity to enforce codes. Not that these codes don't exist. Even when we have regulators for every profession, you have the Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria to enforce standards in the teaching profession. You have the Nigerian Medical, or in fact the Dental and Medical Dental Registration Council of Nigeria to enforce this thing for medical this thing. The Nigerian Institute of Architects, the Medical Laboratory Science Council of Nigeria, the Legal Practitioners Disciplinary Committee, LPDC, for the legal profession. So for all professions, we have codes, we have ethics, we have statutes, we have professional regulators, we have standards. Yet, the more laws we churn out, the more decay we experience in our professional ethical boundaries. And so, the third dimension has to do with our cultural orientation. Culture. Oh, he's my brother. And so you apply different standards. And I've always challenged people. If I say, former vice chancellor professor has never trained before to be a pilot. He's flying a plane. They ask you, you know very well, Elder Awotu has never flown a plane before, not trained as a pilot. And you know he's not a pilot, but he's flying a plane. If they ask you for you to board his plane, will you board? You won't board. You know you will die. Or you know that Emeritus Professor Wala is not a medical doctor, but you're ill. They ask you to present yourself to perform surgery, for him to perform surgery on you. You will not accept. But when it comes to ethical issues, we now look at who is our brother, who is our kinsman. And so we make decisions through the prism of ethnicity, religious affiliation, or social affiliation. That is the third pillar of the challenge we face. When we say, now, the third core issue is the role of teachers. Why did I choose teachers? We already said earlier that in all professions, we're facing values crisis. But in education, it's peculiar. The reason is simple. Teachers have enormous influence on society and on the individuals who become. Whether as leaders, we pass through teachers. Every profession, you will have passed through a teacher at one time or the other. There's no one that is exempted. And so, because you spend most of your formative years with teachers, they shape the man or the woman you become. And so, when a society is drifting ethically, let's look at our teachers and what they are doing. There was a study done by some Professor Ayeni in 2018 about ethical practices among teachers. And in a local government in Nigeria, and it's an extensive study, it's been referenced severally. He found out that ethical teachers produced ethical students, and unethical teachers also produce students who constitute major challenge in society, that were deficient in character, in conduct, and even in learning. It's a classic study. You may say that it wasn't done in a large area, it was done in a particular local government. And so, I think that we need to find a solution to that. And the solution is to embed values education in our curricula from early ages, from primary school level, secondary school level, up to the tertiary institution level. And indeed, we have role models already. Professor Otonti Nduka is a role model. Now, if you go through his life story and experiences, you will agree with me. There is a role model of a professionally, ethically sound teacher and by extension educationist. And he has spent most of his life in pursuit of values orientation and values education. And so if there is anything that will do his honor, is to advance the advocacy for for values education as the very foundation of changing society for the better. And the final thing I want to say is that urgent solutions will require two things. One, enforcement of codes, rules, regulations, and adaptation. And when I say adaptation, is multi-dimensional. I'll talk about enforcement first. When it comes to enforcement, real fixes start with enforcement, support, and forward-thinking reforms in our professional bodies. Whether it's in Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria, in ICANN, in MBA, even in AI, when we make rules, regulations, we must be ready to enforce them without caring whose ox is God. We can't use different standards for different people. And for as long as we do that, we are simply encouraging people to behave in any way they choose, in whatever way they choose, when we don't enforce. The second thing is that we simply need to address that culture that looks at A and say A is from my place, B is not from my place, C is from my place, D is not from my place, and this person is in the same church with me. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I say I will not speak for want to build institutions and incentives that produce more of Professor Otonti Nduka, and to make Professor Otonti Nduka's example the norm instead of the exception. Can that be done? And I'll leave you 3 questions. Is the task urgent? The answer is yes, it is urgent. The second question is it doable? Absolutely, it's doable. Is it doable? It is doable. And the final question is, when is the best time to begin this process of reorientation of society, embedding the core of values, ethics in our professions, and by extension society? It is now. Who is with me? Are you still with me? Are you still happy with me? Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you so much, Honorable Amaopo Senimbo Dr. Dakuku Peter Sai. Thank you so much, sir. It's loaded, and in this conference, we're still reminiscing. I took note of critical thinking, and I wish that my own students also will imbibe and get along. I want to plead on behalf of the organizers that we didn't start when we were supposed to start, and any attempt to break up and come back again, we're not likely to have a full house. So we want to plead with everyone to bear with us as we make efforts to just collapse things together and finish this session in the next few hours. Let me introduce a High Court judge of Rivers State, the Honorable Justice L.C. Nwawuri Thompson is in the house. Please, may we recognize you, ma'am? Thank you very much. When I saw you in black and black, I knew you must be connected to the judiciary. I don't know where they like a black, but not stretch our legs a little. So without going out, let me seek the permission of the chairman that we just stand up a little and then sit again while we invite on brother, yes, Professor Sonny Orike, the ICT Director of RSU. He will speak, and then we just go to the panel, and we are done for this session. Can we please, if the chairman permits, can we stand up, everyone, please? Let's just stand. Let's just stand. I'm young at 60, going to 61, November 61. I'm still a young man. But, okay. All right. May we sit again, please? Thank you. Thank you. So, Professor Wike, not me hold you, now you hold yourself.
The chairman of the occasion, Emeritus Professor, and the celebrant of today, MC.
All right, please, we did say you should stand so the blood flow in your legs can go as it should. But please don't go away. Please do not go away. We are not on break. Another session is starting, please. Mr. Chairman, I had this problem. That's why I don't hire crowd anymore for events. I once took students to an event in Uniport. At the climax of the program, they started walking away. And there was no way. Meanwhile, I told them I would take attendance. And I didn't take attendance. And so please, I beg of you, this conference is still on. We want to do it and get done immediately. Thank you. All right. Thank you so much. Whatever you are sharing, do it quietly, gently. Professor
All right.
Wike.
Thank you very much, MC. Let me dwell on the already existed established protocol. I would have spoken for 30 minutes, but I'll say I can compress it to less than 10 minutes. On the role of the media, ICT, and AI in advancing ethical values in Nigeria. I will go just through these a few highlights. Just a brief introduction. We'll look at media, ICT, and AI, how three of them come together, how they converge to promote ethical values in Nigeria. Then I will conclude with some recommendations. I want us to look at this slide. I want us to look at both the one at the left and the one at the right. The one at the left is the map of Nigeria. And of course, we know that Nigeria is a diverse country. The giant of Africa, estimated population about 240 million people this May 2026. And of course, we have 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria. We have about 250 ethnic groups in Nigeria and approximately 371 distinct tribes in the country and over 520 living indigenous languages. That means Nigeria is a very diverse country. But even in that diversity, we are united. Don't mind what is happening in Nigeria. We are hearing a lot of news every day. But if we leave the shores of Nigeria, we'll see the two pictures at the right. This is a picture taken about 23 years. PTDF overseas scholars in Aberdeen, which of course, yours truly is the one they are representing the good people of Niger Delta at the Meadow with the Etibo and the Heart. And of course, our emeritus professors also studied in Aberdeen. He did one of the programs in Aberdeen many years ago. So I was there at Aberdeen, and then we took this. So even in our diversity as a country, Nigeria is united. When we are here, we may be fighting against each other, but when we go out, we see ourselves as one distinct and indivisible entity. That's the man we are celebrating. Professor Emeritus Otonti Nduka is a great philosopher and teacher. I would like to open with this quote from George Collos. He said technology will never replace great teachers, but technology in the hands of great teachers is transformational. The only constant in life is change. We keep changing from the days of old till now, advancing technology. Technology will not remove the teacher in us, but the technology in our hands will do great wonders. That's exactly what has happened in the life of our Emeritus Professor Otonti Nduka, a renowned Nigerian scholar, philosopher, and educationist. Even the man to George Carlos too, he's also a Canadian-based educator, author, and an international speaker, recognized for his leadership, innovation, and culture. Also promoting what? Ethical values. Right? In course of this short talk, what should guide us or ring in our mind is, how can technology that spreads fake news also become a tool for truth and what? Ethics? We are all of us are on social media. We know everybody we just post anything. And of course they say believe social media at your own mercy. People just post everything. So the same social media, the same media, ICT and AI that encourages this and spread this fake news, how can it also now be a tool that we use to advance or promote truth and ethics? That should ring through your mind, and maybe at the end of this short talk, we should be able to provide explanation and answer. All right, just in passing, we all know ethics. Ethics come from the word ethos, which stands for character or custom. And it's about doing what is right, what is fair, even when nobody is watching you. When you are in your closet, you are in your house, you are in your office, you are doing something, make sure you do it right, even when nobody is there. Media refers to, it's a collective word that encompasses channels used in sharing information, sharing messages, sharing ideas. Media could be guided through cables, physical contact, it could also be unguided through open space, through satellite and microwave. Media could also be in print, could also be in radio, could be in television, and of course now we all have everything we want to get, everything you want to know in life. In this world, they are in our phone. So media started from print and advanced to our social media. Information and Communication Technology, ICT, is an umbrella body that encompasses generation of information, transmitting them, storing them, and then exchanging them from one location to another location. And AI, of course, is the process of simulating intelligence, human intelligence, or the transfer of human intelligence from human beings into inanimate objects, into machine, or into what? Software, so that they will perform tasks that are human-like. Having said that, already, previous speakers have mentioned the types of ethics. What personal ethics and great justice have been done about professional ethics, also have social ethics and digital and AI world ethics. I don't have to dwell so much on this. Also have core ethical values, integrity, accountability, fairness, respect for one another, and transparency. These are the core values that govern what? Ethics. Then these are why ethics, youth trust, power, information, also trust, strengthen social harmony and justice and sustainable development. All right, why media and ethics? Nigeria's media, just like I said before, evolved from print through radio, television, and now digital and social media. They serve as a compass that promotes awareness, investigative journalism, agenda setting, and of course, cultural reinforcement. And in so doing, we must also uphold what? Ethics internally to avoid misinformation, sensationalism, and what?
bias. ICT provides that infrastructure that will help us to access information, also help in e-governance, social media engagement, and digital world literacy. And the challenges in ICT and ethics include cybercrime, misinformation, and misuse of digital platform, which requires strong regulatory and ethics framework to combat them. Then AI. All of us, we are in the world of AI. Everything is possible and everything happens. So AI introduces advanced capabilities that can strengthen the ethical system through these 3 ways. Data-driven governance to detect and manage fraud or possibly eliminate fraud. Also content moderation that help us to detect hate speech and see how we can avoid them. And ethical automation to standardize processes that will reduce human bias and manipulation of truth. Also, AI itself must be governed ethically or by ethical principles to avoid reinforcing bias in so many ways. Then, these 3, they don't work in isolation. There's synergy between media, AI, and ICT. There's a handshake between them. Their intersection creates what we call a powerful ecosystem. They are not on an island. All of them come together to promote. And how does it work? Media disseminate ethical narratives. ICT provides the access and connectivity, while AI enhances monitoring, analysis, and enforcement that finds or advance the ethical values we are talking about. And in so doing, both media, ICT, and AI, they must work together to ensure that technology becomes a force for accountability, not confusion in promoting ethical values. Because of time, I won't waste much time in what I call ethical risk and possible interventions we can use to mitigate against them. But one of them is misinformation and fake news. How do you combat them? We should strengthen fact-checking institutions and promote media literacy. Media literacy and verification. Whatever you do, verify before you believe anything you find in our social media. Also use AI tools to detect and flag fake content. Data privacy violation. Thank God for Nigeria Data Protection Act 2023. That's there to make sure that personal privacy is not being violated. We also have cybercrime and digital fraud. How do we mitigate them? Strengthen cybersecurity frameworks using data, EFCC, and all the rest. Also increase public education on safe online behavior. Of course, we have AI-based fraud detection systems. We have media sensationalism and paid journalism. Don't hype them. Don't what I call don't exaggerate. Don't, especially most of our journalists, don't exaggerate by using paid journalism and then engage in things that will distort fast and then for your own profit and promote independent and then make sure leading to not to transmit or to misinform the public. So that should be avoided in media through the use while enforcing ethical values. So we should make sure we engage on proper and investigative journalism. And then digital divide and exclusion. What are the possible intervention? Expand digital infrastructure to rural areas, promote affordable internet access, support digital skills. Thank God, just within the week, as part of the CSR of this institution, the manager of the university commissioned the ICT center just here in our host community. So that's area to make one of the ways by which we will mitigate and ensure that we ensure inequitable access to ICT and AI tools leading to marginalization. And then international property misuse, we shall have to strengthen copyright enforcement online. Also, let me talk about this a bit. issue of eroding human agency. Make sure while using AI, the human part, the human element must not be removed. Human beings should be there while guiding in the use of developing and using AI systems. That's what I mean by keeping a human in the loop in the AI system. Also define ethical limit on how you use the AI facilities. Don't just believe everything. Don't just copy AI as 100%. Limit should be defined so that we know the boundary between human part and AI part. All right, by word of conclusion. So I want to conclude that Nigeria should be a digitally responsible country where truth, transparency, and technology advance shared moral values. Ethics is not a constraint to innovation or technology. Rather, it is the compass that guides it. Media, ICT, and AI, they are not supposed to be neutral. Rather, they should reflect our moral choices, shaping public opinion, influence behaviors, and then provide tools for transparency, accountability, and value orientation. Ethical use of these tools will rebuild the trust, unity, and what? Accountability. And at the end of the day, all of us seated here, we have role to play to make sure that this is enforced. A recommendation, but just like our former speaker said, there should be media and digital literacy in all levels of education. So we have to strengthen digital ethics, privacy, and responsible use of AI. There should also be public awareness, launch national campaign on digital integrity and how to be a responsible citizen online. There should be secure and technological investment. Invest on ICT infrastructure to support transparency. Finally, there should be a collaboration between the government, media, tech companies, academia to co-create ethical values. I will end with these two quotations. In the words of Woodrow Wilson, they say, if you lose your integrity, your moral, your character, if you lose money, you lose nothing. But if you lose your health, you lose something. But if you lose your character, which represents your integrity, your moral, you lose what? Everything. And also, according to the Holy Book, Philippians chapter 4, verse 8, they say, whatsoever that is true, whatsoever that are honest, whatsoever that are just, whatsoever things that are what? Pure, whatsoever things that are lovely, and whatsoever things that are of good report. If there be any virtue, if there be any value on them, if there be any praise, think on all these things, and God will bless you. Thank you very much.
Please, another round of applause for Professor Sonny Orike. Thank you very much, sir. Prof, you know what your name? I tell people that if you answer Sunday, when you are grown up, you can answer Sonny. But if you answer Monday, you can't answer money. That's why you see people whose names are Monday, they hardly use it when they become big people. Thank you very much. We've talked on ICT and all of that. Well, I have been told to announce that the papers presented should kindly be sent to the Secretariat of Otonti Nduka Foundation so that they can put it together, mail it to those, and then Dr. Agun is the only man whose name in Ikwere turns to Agunu. Agunu. This Agun. Agun. All right. We will go, please, with the kind permission of the chairman. We'll skip item 25. We'll bring it preponed 28 to 25. We'll prepone it up so that we can have the launching of endowment fund of Otonti Nduka Foundation before we go to the discussion. We want to plead with all those who are panelists to please bear with us. My friends say bear with me. It's not that you should go and drink beer, but please bear with us. I'll invite the Honorable Dr. Amopu Senibo Dakuku Adol Peterside, former Director General NIMASA, former Governor General Parent of River State, and a leader of mean repute, currently leading people in diverse ways. He and the foundation will direct us on how this is to be done. Can we give a round of applause to Honorable Dr. Dakuku Adol Peterside as he directs us on this? We'll come back to the panelists for this. Thank you so much. Welcome, sir. The microphone is yours.
Thank you very much. Chairman and other distinguished personalities. You know, there's one thing dear to the heart of our father, our leader, the celebrant. It is the advocacy and pursuit of values education. He set up the Otonti Nduka Foundation for Values Education. Unfortunately, but true, there's nothing we can accomplish without resources. I didn't say without money. I said without resources. So some people can volunteer their time, their talent, but even at that, between time and talent and results, there's something that serves as the oil, and that is money. So you can see the connection. So today, to celebrate his life, to celebrate him, is to identify with something that he holds dear. Emeritus Professor Otonti Nduka truly does not need your money. God has blessed him. Long life, good health. I don't know of how many persons of his age can do a 100-meter dash. I can tell you that Professor can do a 100-meter dash. The other thing you don't know is that he's a fantastic cook. I've eaten meals prepared by him. As young as I am, I've eaten meals prepared by Professor. When you eat meals prepared by him, I don't want to speak like Jesus, but I know that you will live long. And so we have invited one of our eminent sons, is a Dr. Grant of Four, to be the chief launch. I don't know if he's representative here. I don't know if he's representative here. I don't know if his representative is here. I know that he sent a representative, unless the person came in the morning and left. But I can as well also announce what he said, what he asked the president to announce. He's going to support the Otonti Nduka Foundation with 10 million naira. I also spoke with the Right His Excellency, the Right the Honorable Chubike Rotimi Amechi, former governor of Rivers State. He asked me to represent him. I didn't want to bother telling him that I'm also part of the committee. When a former governor says he should represent him, you know that I will jump at that offer. So I also accepted to represent him. So I'm here in dual capacity. One, as son of the celebrant. Two, as representative of His Excellency Right Honorable Rotimi Amechi. In that capacity, I announced his own donation of 2 million naira to support the work of the foundation. I spoke to another friend who, after now, at the level of the foundation, will do our own quarrel. Even when I pushed that they should send invite to him, he said he didn't receive the invite. He's in town. His name is Chief Harry Wardo. He's from Alo. Nobody sent an invite to him, even when we emphasized over and over again. When I pushed and pushed, he asked me to announce a donation of 1 million naira from Dr. Harry Wardo. You see, it is not the millions alone that matter. Those who can volunteer their time, please will encourage you. Those who can volunteer their skill. But one thing is important. It is key. The religious people sometimes abuse these things. But I believe in it. It's a natural principle. If you want to be old and physically strong, like Emeritus Professor Otonti Nduka, sow a seed today. I hope you heard me. It's a natural principle. It's not. I said the religious people tend to abuse it. But if you want to get old to his age, and even as you are, you want to be as healthy as he is, today, key in. Don't say, I am a professor. Professors don't have too much money. Drop your 100,000. Don't say, I'm an essay. Traditional people who don't have too much money. Even if it is your 100,000, drop. Don't say, I'm a retired person. You are not the only one who is retired. Okay. He just reminded me that she will announce, I'm aware, and just reminded me that distinguished Senator Orwell Nyesom, the senator representing Rivers Southeast Senatorial District, Rivers East Senatorial District, donated a handsome sum of 5 million naira. And so, by the powers conferred on me, don't ask me who. I want to invite all our leaders who want to at least be old, not necessarily 100. I must confess before now, and I'm being honest to you, before now, I didn't wish to be 100 because I was scared that when you turn 100, you will not be physically strong. But after seeing Prof and interacting with Prof, now, if there's one desire I have, I desire to be 100. For me before, if you ask that, oh, during your 100 birthday, I'll tell you no need. I don't want to be there. I don't want to get there. But after seeing Prof and how physically strong he is, I want to be 100. And I know that if it pleases God that I will turn 100, I will be as strong as Prof is. I will still continue to write, read, play football, and play with my great-grandchildren. If you want that blessing, please, on your own, don't let anybody to call you. I don't want to call anybody individually. Step forward and say, I will support with, even if it's 5 naira, support. Support the foundation, the work with the foundation. The Otonti Nduka Foundation for Values Education. I encourage you, please step forward and encourage the work. We're not going to compel anybody because we're on the right course. Whether you bring your money or not, the work will be done. I hope I'm very clear.
Like that.
Whether you bring your money or not, the work will be done. If there's one responsibility, additional responsibility we have taken up, is that after now, I will start harassing my friends. And indeed, I have big friends. I will start harassing them. They will bring the money. But your own is important because it's a pact for your blessing. It's natural. You know, when you desire something, work towards it, you will accomplish it. And so, the physical expression of your desire is to support the work our Father is doing in the pursuit of value education. We want a society that works for everybody. So, in the next 2 minutes only, all those who are interested in supporting the work, I invite you to step forward. Take the microphone. Even if you want to do it in private, write your paper and say, I've written my own paper. I submit. Please, just 5 minutes. We don't have so much time.
Thank you so much. Those that want to do Nicodemously, organizers, can we have papers? Let's give papers to them. So Nicodemously, please, if you're writing, do write your name, phone number, and the amount you're committing yourself to, so we can reach you. Oh, there's a hand up.
Oh, there's account number on the screen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, some may not have it immediately.
Thank you very much. So I expect that people will step forward. Our professor is raising his hand. Sorry, Professor Achinewu used to be my teacher. And not only my chairman, so it's once your teacher is always your teacher for life. He said, you're harassing other people to raise money. Won't you put your own? I will also drop 1 million naira.
All right, your blood is still there, and no one can take it away from you, sir.
Yes. I probably want to say that the first time I came in contact with him, then that when we visited him in his home, when I looked at, and I saw then he was 95. I said, man, seeing the way he's walking, so strong and all the rest, I said, I needed to contact. And the other day, I make sure that I shook his hand and I said, I will get to this age and I'll be as strong as he is. And today, he's celebrating 100 years. I desire to be there too. And I know too, I've been telling some persons, even when I'm 100, I will still be reading with my eyes. And I know too well that this is a point of contact. Our Honorable just said it in terms of, it's a time to sow your seed and contact. I'm contacting, and that is why I'm doing this. I'm Daniel Matthias. And I want to just get a sum of 50,000.
Thank you so much, Dr. Daniel Matthias. Oh, sorry, sir. Professor Daniel Matthias. Okay, there's a hand there, all the way from the University of Port Harcourt. Prof, I'm coming, sir. Make I do small euro for my side.
On behalf of the Dean, Faculty of Education, and the entire faculty, I've been mandated to pronounce 100,000, University of Port Harcourt.
The University of Port Harcourt, Professor Nat Abraham is the Dean, and Professor J.U. Wogo is representing him. Yes. Did you say 100, sir? And like Chairman said, that is for this thing. What about you? Who is speaking on behalf of the? Are you doing anything? Mr. Chairman, Professor Wogu said, messenger, I know they throw proverb. I send this now. Ladies and gentlemen, former Vice Chancellor of this great university, Professor.
Chairman of Education and the special guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to say that it's a special pleasure to be here today. I have been involved, I've been close to our father, our mentor, several years back. I recall vividly sometime I think it was at Hotel Presidential, on a seminar, no, a workshop on corruption and social values in society. And I was part of that conference. And at the end, I think it was published in a book, and I contributed a chapter to that book. And I have worked fairly closely with him. Intellectually, I have benefited so much. Very recently, he gave me an assignment, and you won't believe it. Our father, 100 years, said, look, he gave me several books to go and look at this. And as I came back with the little script that I did, he read through very well, scrutinized it, and he was pleased with the little that I did. So, sir, it's my pleasure to be here today. I want to tap into this year knowledge, wealth of knowledge that has benefited humankind. And for me and my family, we would like to support this foundation with a sum of 200,000 naira.
Thank you so much, sir. 200,000 naira. Ladies and gentlemen, First Bank, 20098400377. First Bank. The account name is Otonti Nduka Foundation. Please, I remember a pastor said to us that it's better to send money for offering because there you know go put 5 naira. If na envelope you go put 5 naira, but when you they send, when your name they follow, you put 5 naira go add you go put 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, 100,000 as case may be. So if you put 5 naira, your name go show for there saying that you send them. So please, let's do this because someone just asked me, say, no, it was my daddy, a favor. I want to a favor. Say, Jones, you have been talking. What about you? And I told him I will donate 50% of what I charge for doing MC. So we're moving. How many more? It's not a bazaar as such. And so, but you want to speak? You want to, Dr. Agun, have you given papers in case some people? Okay. All right. We have here the Reverend Dr. B.A.C. Akaniwo, 500,000 naira. 500,000 naira. Now that sounds a little, but if we say 500,000, Daddy, God bless you. Mommy, God bless you. Please. Thank you. We're coming. More donations. It's not in the size. A big man, 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 a big man. In order for size, oh, a big man. Oh, sorry. Professor Wami. Well, we can give you paper. We can. All right. Oh, Emeritus Professor Engineer Wami, 250,000. I'm sorry, sir. I take it back. Chris Akani, 50,000. I have to echo it because sometimes what I say, what I heard may be different. It's like telling somebody I saw a seagull sitting on the seashore. By the time you say it to 10 person, the 10 person will be telling you, and anything is not like that. That is, Chairman say everybody should say something. Emeritus Professor Meule, 50,000. Chairman said everybody should speak. So, Prof, thank you very much, sir. Mommy and Daddy, thank you. Our own big daddy, Emeritus Professor Ebi Awotua a favor. Daddy say he has given 500 before, but if they shake and make him reach 100 to saying go add something later. Are we speaking, sir? Okay. So something will come on top of that. Daddy, thank you so much. Dr. Meji, here you, sir. 20,000 coming from Professor Emeji. Thank you very much, sir.
pleased to see this occasion today of our father, whom I have known for so long, whom I have worked with for so long. He's a thorough person, hardworking, and highly disciplined. I have so many things to say, but not today. I have to launch this occasion with 100,000 naira.
100,000. Thank you very much, sir. Double Professor Nyenke, double Professor. Professor Franklin Lerum, 20,000 naira. Dr. Agun, I hope you're writing down. You can come and ask for their phone numbers later. Thank you. All right, Daddy had please flash the account number again. Please. Thank you. It's a First Bank account, Otonti Nduka Foundation, 209840377. 209840377. First Bank, Otonti Nduka Foundation. And so, the man whom we introduce as the first student of Professor Aoneze Ikenga one of Mbise is here. Daddy. All right, he's supporting the foundation with a sum of 200,000. As we said, Daddy Nduka at 100 doesn't need our money, but the foundation certainly needs it to keep propagating educational values. Professor. Okay, he said he will send his own Nicodemously into the account numbers. Only the managers of the account will be able to see. Professor Wogo, you have spoken on behalf of education in Uniport. Oh, Uzodim. Oh, okay, 200 I mentioned. Professor Nyozo is supporting 20,000 naira. Professor Nyozo is supporting with 20,000 naira. Okay. Chairman, sir, I'll come to the head table having completed the front row like you directed. Except any other person want to, please, support. Thank you. Okay. All right. Comfort Udom, all the way from Lagos, 50,000. Please.
Good afternoon, everybody. Then on the existing protocol, I speak with a joy, a heart filled with great joy today, with what I have seen our father and what I have heard about our father, Professor Emeritus Otonti Nduka, is our father. You see, the topic today on value education value of education. Every interest, which I find that it has been a resigning area, which have been said so far in Nigeria. But what I say is that the major area of this area is how to, yes, very major area, how to implement. The implementation is the key issue. Much has been said, and I'm impressed that this our father have done so much, which I've heard today, and I never knew that he has been the key person in this area. So how to this issue is what we're focusing on, the implementation. I am Associate Professor Nene Eguma Yemjuk of Ajay University. So let us just, I'm pleading for us to look at the area of implementation. It is key. And supporting this activity of today with the sum of 50,000 naira.
We have 50,000 naira coming from because of time. I'll go to the head table. Did I hear here? All right.
Thank you all. I'm standing on existing protocols. I am Professor and Mrs. Nduka's first child. And I'd just like to mention what I took from this conference has been the role of family. And I can't say any more than that. I believe that my parents have done exceptionally well. I'm not saying this in a boasting way, but I am saying that they imbibed in us, and we have passed it through 3 generations. And so on behalf of the last generation, which is formed so far of 6 great grandchildren, I'm donating 300,000 on their behalf, because they are the ones that will carry these ideals forward. Thank you.
Well, the 3rd generation of all of that who are going to carry it out, and so on their behalf, Mrs. Seshekmo is donating a sum of 300,000. I hope I got it, ma. Thank you very much. Justice, okay. I didn't want to say it, Mr. Chairman, but it has come out because as judge of the High Court, she will not speak in public anyhow. So she will reach us later. But I'd like to inform the House, it's not every EFCC that you should be afraid of. Some EFCC means Evangelical Fellowship of Christian Churches. So don't think it's a... All right. Procedo. Are we expecting anything from our president? Or should we skip? Presido. Or I should skip? Okay. All right. Professor Rike. Oh, including him. Oh, okay. I hear they have transferred and time is of the essence. Did I hear no? You want to give more? Prof, sir. Something whispered in my left ear that you want to support this. The microphone is your own, sir. From my left ear.
Okay, let me support cash of 20.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, cash 20,000, Professor. Asuru. Gift Asuru. I know you, Vincent. Vincent Gift Asuru. Where is Agu? This is cash. Cash. Thank you. Honorable Dakuku, I was anchoring this with you. So, we want to plead with us. Professor Yala, are you doing anything? Oh, you are an insider. Professor Wegu, oh Honda, you have done. Okay. Thank you so much, Chairman. At this juncture, we will crave the indulgence of everyone to now go back to what we preponed earlier on, which is the panelists. But please, we are pleading on behalf of everyone that take a picture, write out the account number. Maybe you are not opportune to give as much as you wanted to today. And while you are sleeping, somebody speaks in your left ear. Something says to you, increase what you have given. Just push it into the account. And this foundation, I can assure you, by the special grace of God, will Sarah Joe, please, let's have you on the seats there. The microphone will be given to you, and then you will. Okay. The panel will have a few minutes to critique and talk about what we have heard so far. Maybe. All right, Professor Margaret Akpome, please. Professor Margaret Akpome, thank you. It's my error. Let me look at the original. Prof. Gladson Walker, moderator. Professor Godwin B. Okon, represented by Dr. Sarah Joe. Professor Joyce Akaniwo, Associate Professor Margaret Ken George, Justice Elsie Thompson, Eze Professor Chris Akani, and Professor Margaret Akpomi. I hope we have enough seats. Organizers, do we have enough chairs?
Okay. Mr. Chairman, our Big Daddy celebrant, and all the professors here, ladies and gentlemen, we are here to make a summary of what has been discussed today. About 2, 3, 4 papers we are presented. And then we have to give it a brief touch so that it will be comprehensible and understandable to all of us. There's one thing running through in all the papers, that ethics values are broken down in Nigeria. Like what philosophers have interpreted the world in many ways. The question is, how do we change it? In most of the presentations, some suggestions were made. Are those suggestions feasible? That is what the panelists will discuss. But before that, I want to say that I discovered a missing link in all the discussions. Every person is heaping blame on this, the family, the institutions, and the individuals. But I think that the problems emanating from our society should be squarely placed on the doorstep of the Nigerian state. Because Nigerian state is the fulcrum of the society. It exercises a monopoly of the use of violence. So in whatever direction the state goes, the society must go. The family must go. The family cannot run in contradictions of the society. You cannot have an ethically organized state with an unethically organized family. It can never happen. Because, as we say in every society, the nature and character of leadership every society has, it depends on the nature and character of the people. So, we are about 5 or 6. We'll make our contributions.
Everything we're saying here is correct. Nobody is wrong. But the system or the structures we have are not the problem. The problem we have is our value system. And the value system are made up of individuals. It's individuals that have the values that now translate to the people who are governing. And what are the core values we don't have? 1, integrity. Everybody must be upright. If you have integrity, you will not come to work late. You will not hide a file that is supposed to leave your desk. These are the issues. The second thing is transparency and accountability. If you have something to do it the way you ought to do it. Let everybody know that you have done it. Honorable Dakuku was saying you pay somebody 100,000 naira and a bag of rice is 150,000. You mustn't buy a bag of rice. You mustn't. You buy the quantity that you can have. And why struggle to buy a bag of rice? You can farm and buy other things. So we must be transparent. We must be accountable. And then incompetence is as bad as corruption. And this incompetence is not just, it starts from schools. Somebody is not qualified, you admit them. They are not able to write exams, you promote them. At the end of the day, he becomes an engineer and he's supposed to build a bridge. He's not able to build it. So in summary, our value system is wrong and it is individuals that have to change this value system. Thank you.
Everything is centered on our value system, which is narrowed down on the individual. Do you agree?
Yes. Let me first of all celebrate the celebrant. I am very, very happy that the celebrant is still agile at 100. And if you think of all those that passed through him, you know that God has done something good, and it's marvelous in our sight concerning the celebrant. Having said that, Talking about values and challenges, especially in Nigeria here. I just want to quickly maybe summarize or support what my colleague had just said in terms of integrity and in terms of being about an individual. And I want to use what our woman professor said about the role of women. Yes, she used the word women, but she's talking about mothers in the various families. I don't think she's saying that fathers don't have any role too. Fathers have. But what she's trying to say is about the virtue that God has given to women in the upbringing of children in the family. He has bestowed on us some good virtues to bring up children in the righteous way. Well, righteous, let me not be going too much into religion. Righteousness, I mean here, is bordering on this same integrity. If in a family, the mother does not come out to make sure that the children are well behaved, telling them 1, 2, 3 things they must not do and they must do, then nothing good is going to come out of that family. So I just want to emphasize that if we're talking about values, we must start from the nitty-gritty, the households, our various households, to make sure that we bring up our children to know about values they ought to know concerning life. The Bible says that the commandment, that shall not steal, that shall not do all this. Yes, tell them from beginning. And one important thing is to tell these children that they have to live within their means. And teach them how not to look for what is not theirs. You can see what's happening now about Yahoo and all that. Huh? Yes. So I'm rounding up saying that, please, fathers and mothers, the values we are talking about must start from our individual homes. And the country will be better. And our children will be better. Thank you very much.
It will start from our homes. I will make my reaction later. So, what is their own reaction?
Thank you so much for this. I thank God. So, most are teachers. And I want to agree with our speakers, all of them. Now, let me start from moral values. Morals and ethics is the society morals. So the teacher has influence on any individual passing through. If the teacher missed it, in fact, he has missed it already. Let me tell you, the home, the mother is a great influence, but the greatest influence. I had an experience. My son did something wrong. I said, no, this is not right. Do it this way. He said, no. My teacher said I should do it like this. So when a teacher has planted something wrong in the life of a child, he has spoiled it all. Children were brought in the same family. Others are behaving well. One is deviating. He has never seen his father smoke before at home. He has never seen his father do the things he was doing. When he was asked and counseled, he said, my teacher often asked me to go and buy him cigarettes. So I learned it from my teacher. You can see how we teachers influence our pupils, our students. So one wrong thing you do, a student who do not deserve to pass and you try to give him or her a passing grade, you have gone wrong. You have done it. You have in fact, you have spoiled the system. So that person will take it, will go on and on. A person who cannot defend the project, You say, don't worry, pay money. You can go without defending. All these are evil vices that exist in the school where teachers influence the society negatively. So if you can have a real value orientation, things can go better. Modify your behavior, just like the justice said, the individual, each of us has a role to play to make our society rise. So if each of us play our parts well, I tell you the society will go smoothly and it will go well. Thank you. God bless you.
With respect to all previously acknowledged dignitaries, I thank the organizers for this opportunity and bring you greetings from Professor G.B. Opon, the Director of Research and Development, River State University, who I represent here today. Conversations about value is something that we've had forever. But I'd like everyone to please take a look at this room. Turn to your left, turn to your right. I think the image of this room right now represents societal despair. We're having conversations about value, we're celebrating the professor. And yet, here we sit in a near empty hall. And I'm worried and I'm concerned. And for me, this is troubling because we hear these things every day. We talk about them, we know what the issues are. In fact, let me paint a picture. It's election season. We're going to listen a lot to anti-corruption rhetoric. And then soon after, we'll have presidents who ride maybe 100-car convoys. We hear a lot from our pastors about religious devotion. And then soon after, we'll see all across social media unethical public behavior, including people who, in the name of the attention economy, that has been so monetized and I dare say demonized, to the extent where young people are not worried about lying, to the extent of playing with something as dangerous, as delicate as cancer. And for those of us on social media, we know what I'm referring to. We listen to conversations about respect for education, but around our state, and I know this because I've visited the schools to see just how bad things are. I want to summarize by saying this, because I say, well, these are things that we know already. We have a choice as a people. We have a choice as a university. We have a choice as individuals to say, do we want societal despair or do we want to move forward as a people? Thank you so much.
Chairman, sir, and our Centenary, our Professor Emeritus Professor and our Father, whom we celebrate today, and our professors present. Let me stand on the protocol that was already established. We are talking about values, and all speakers have identified the problems that we have as a nation, how our values are being eroded. And so what do we do to get back on track? I have a few suggestions here. We have talked about the problem. Some things we can do include institutional reforms and accountability. Our government institutions must lead by example, where there is transparency and strict enforcement of laws. I think we can get it right by doing that. The media also has a responsibility. Media organizations and digital platforms should promote positive role models and ethical behavior. Digital literacy programs can help youth navigate online influences responsibly. Our religious and moral leaders must also stand up to their callings. Religious institutions should emphasize practical application of moral teaching, focusing on integrity, on humility, and service to society. In conclusion, we can say that Nigeria is at a crossroads now, where traditional values and modern realities are intersecting. Yes, we can say that we have some encouraging trends, such as increased awareness, which we are now in e-world, everything is e, and we are all very aware of our rights and accountability. But the challenges remain, and upholding values that we have been talking about requires collective solutions. Everyone must be ready, must stand up, from our families to schools, religious bodies, government institutions, and even individuals. If we all commit or recommit ourselves to ethical principles, we can strengthen the values that we are already missing or that eroding. And Nigeria can build a more just, stable, and prosperous society. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's appreciate these panelists again. But you know, Professor Eze Akani had not spoken, so please just, our time is for Spencer.
Well, I want to thank the panelists for the innovative discussion. It's all centered on how we can revitalize the moral fiber of our society according to our celebrant. But I want to ask a rhetorical question. In this process, what is the role of the state? What is the role of the government? Because for us not to end in a gigantic fraud, according to our celebrant Otonti Nduka, the state must be the vanguard in this process of moral re-evaluation. If the state is allowed the individuals to go on their own moral voyage, we are going to hit a rock. And that is what is happening in our society today. On that note, I want to thank my sister Justice for coming. Prof, you already a member. I don't need to thank you. You have done a lot. And all the panelists, thank you very much for coming. And I want to wish all of us safe journey. Meka.
Please jam your hands together. Sorry, Justice LC.
Yeah, I agree that the state should be the vanguard, but together we must put our hands together. We must be intentional. And then the word is mentorship. 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 Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Please, I am told that as a Professor Akani is an endangered species, that you are the only man in the midst of these powerful women. That the men are becoming endangered species. The only man there. Well, the original moderator, initial moderator was not there. So thank you very much. We will. I am told that as a traditional ruler, that you are free to have as many, especially for a honorable doctor. Okay, let's wrap up. It's been so beautiful, and I'm told that we will wrap up this session, and then those who have papers for presentation will hang on. And so to wrap it up, we will invite Professor Hilary Wado to please move the vote of thanks. And then please hang on a little, let him move the vote of thanks, and then We will then close this session officially, and then those for paper presentations can then hang on.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, that will be after this time, after the vote of thanks, because we just want. Yes, please. You can see that we started well, and we have also ended well, with a big performance, which you can measure from the quality of people that spoke and the quality of their papers as well. So on behalf of the family of the celebrants, Emeritus Professor Otonti Nduka and his family, members of Board of Trustees, and members of Otonti Nduka Foundation for Values Education, I want to thank every one of you, starting from the chairman of this occasion. Chairman, we are grateful that you are here with us to this level. We want to use this opportunity to look at the cross-section of people who are here to thank you. It is not easy. We know a lot of occasions that's going out somewhere there, but you made it a point of duty to come to celebrate with our celebrants. I thank all of you. Thank members of Otonti Nduka Foundation. Thank those who participated in the conference. Thanks the dignitaries that are filed here. Once again, thank you. I will use this opportunity to invite you to tomorrow's occasion. In fact, that occasion will be bigger than what we have today. So you are there, please, at the convocation arena from 9 o'clock, from 11 o'clock. Please be there. Thank you. Yes, he can do that.
All right, thank you so much. Those who have paper presentation after we take the communique, because it's really, really important that we hear the highlights of what this foundation has put together for us. I have the honor to invite the lead, Professor Priye Iyala Amadi, Professor Matthew Ohonda Wego, and Professor Ejim. Okay, Dr. Innocent Emejim, please. Thank you. Please, ma, you have less than 5 minutes.
Okay, standing on all established protocol and the surviving members of the high table. Thank you so much. Here is the communique issued at the end of the National Conference on Values Education held on Friday, 8th May at the Rivers State University in honor of Professor Emeritus Otonti Nduka at 100 years. I'm not reading this alone. There are 3 of us, and that's why I insisted we should all be here. So, the preamble is this. In recognition of Professor Emeritus Otonti Nduka's remarkable contributions to education, national development, moral philosophy, and the promotion of ethical values in the society, a national conference on values education was convened, and that is why we are all here. The conference witnessed the gathering of great scholars, including legal luminaries, policy makers, academics, educationists, clergy, traditional rulers, youth and civil organizations, and other stakeholders within and outside the country, who exhaustively deliberated on the theme, legal and judicial systems in Nigeria, challenges in upholding values, and the way forward. Observations. At the end of extensive deliberations and critical reflections on the current state of the judicial system and values education in the country, the conference observed as follows. 1. Conference recognized and applauded the lifelong contributions of Professor Emeritus Otonti Nduka to the advancement of values-based education and ethical leadership in the country. Participants recognized the legal and judicial systems in Nigeria as critical pillars for the sustenance of democracy, justice, social order, including national unity and moral stability. The conference noted with concern the consistent decline in societal values, as is evident in the increase in corruption, compromise in the judiciary, delay in the administration of justice, disrespect for the rule of law, and visible decline in public trust in institutions. Participants also identified the following as the challenges mitigating against upholding values in the judiciary and in the Nigerian society at large. One is corruption and unethical practices. Two, political interference. Three, inadequate funding, including poor welfare services. And four, reluctance in enforcement of sound judicial decisions and limited access to justice for the ordinary citizen. The conference noted with dismay the decline in ethical standards within the larger society and the negative influence it has had on the legal profession, judicial institutions, educational sector, and family life. So it was further observed with emphasis that values education has been ignored in our educational system, and this has contributed to moral decadence and weakened civic responsibility in society. And then participants acknowledged the indispensable role of families, religious and traditional institutions, the media, and governmental agencies in the promotion of patriotism, integrity, accountability, and social justice. So the resolutions now. Following these observations, the conference resolved as follows. One, a deliberate national moral awakening structured to restore ethical standards, accountability, and integrity in both public and private life. The administration of justice that should be enhanced through achievable judicial reforms, technological innovations, and marked reduction in procedural bottlenecks. And then the integration of values education into all levels of the Nigerian educational curriculum that emphasizes character formation, shaping of minds, civic responsibilities, integrity, and leadership ethics. This must be upheld. And then the collaboration of religious organizations, families, traditional institutions, and civil societies in promoting moral discipline and responsible citizenship. The media should also be encouraged to carry out ethical journalism and sustained advocacy for equal access to justice. And then, finally, the welfare and capacity development of judicial officers and legal practitioners should be prioritized. Finally, we recommend as follows. The conference therefore recommends the establishment of a Center for Ethics, Values Education, and Civic Leadership in all studies in all educational institutions in honor of Professor Emeritus Otonti Nduka to sustain the intellectual and moral legacy. You can clap if you want to clap. Then we also recommend the development and implementation of a national framework on values education and ethical reorientation across public establishments. And then to sustain public engagement on national values, to reduce unnecessary delays and improve efficiency. Conclusion. All participants here called on Nigerians to recommit themselves to the ideas of ethical leadership, responsible citizenship, and national rebirth. The conference therefore concluded with profound appreciation to Emeritus Professor Otonti Nduka for his contributions to humanity, moral development, and scholarship, and prayed that his legacies will continue to inspire the present and future generations. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you.
Wow, please can we muster another round of applause for this beautiful, lovely communique writing panel persons that have done great job for us. I was told that in 1983 that a conference like this held, after which communique was read, and it led to the formation of War Against Indiscipline and all of that. Today, I look forward that in the coming government, all that, we are going to have more things happening. Before we invite Pastor Professor Matthias Daniel to say
these moral values that we're talking about. It's important because I mean he talked about it, and all the other speakers they mentioned areas that people should be strengthened so that we can have a situation where these moral values are integrated into our system of education. Thank you very much.
We so appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Pastor Professor Matthias Daniel, please, sir, you'll give us the closing prayer. At the end, those who have the closing prayer, at the end, those who have papers to present, please, should hold on. Well, our elder should hold on. Well, our elder statesmen and others are going will stay back. Don't forget tomorrow.
Otonti Nduka Foundation for Values Education to express my gratitude to all of you for honoring our invitation and indeed for honoring our father, Emeritus Professor Otonti Nduka. It's been a wonderful day, and it's often said that whatever has a beginning will have an end. We have come to the end, and this is a particularly glorious end. Thank you very much. God bless you. My prayer is that God Almighty take all of you safely back to your various destinations, and that God willing, all of us will convene here tomorrow to celebrate in a most traditional way an enigma, an irokotili of our time. And by way of speaking, we will celebrate a man who has seen many decades. We expect all of you here tomorrow by 11 a.m. Trust me, it will be like something you've never seen before. What you see tomorrow, you've not seen before. I can see Professor Emeritus Otonti nodding his head. He's an auxiliary, so he knows that what is going to happen tomorrow has never happened before. Thank you very much. So we can now pray. Please come and just take the prayers.
All right, can we just write? Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for this wonderful section. Thank you for the better weather. Thank you for your son that we celebrated. Thank you for everyone that have come to be part of this. May your name alone be glorified. We bless your name for the wonderful weather. Lord, as we're living, we know too well that your presence will continue to be with us. In all that we've been able to do, more especially in the aspect of all the value system. Lord, we know of the truth that you will, in one way or the other, touch our heart and mold us to have better values that will make our nation a better place for everyone to be, in the mighty name of Jesus. May your name be praised. In Jesus' name we pray.